Hello and welcome to another episode of Glory of Golden State Gaming. I'm your host, Swamp Swimmer, and with me as always, the Mac to my cheese, Vespacian.
Hey everybody, man, you're really fine tuning the Glory of Golden State Gaming intro there. I like it.
It's turning into some sort of like professional wrestling thing, like can you smell what the Rock is cooking kind of thing.
Exactly.
Oh boy. But anyway, before we get in the battle report, we just want to let everyone know who's watching this that coming up in what are the dates for me again? February 18th and through 20th of this year, 2022. It is the North American Masters Tournament. Here's the website. They are looking for people. There's due to COVID and all the things related with COVID over the past 2 years, some of the winners of previous tournaments are deciding not to come, so they are looking for people to come in and play in the play-in tournament and compete to win the whole thing. If you're interested, please check out the website. It's right here. It's ninth age North American Masters.wordpress.com. But Aaron, take it away with all the information you have about this.
Yeah, so it's as you said, that weekend of the 18th through the 20th. It's the invites have been, this is obviously a little bit of a weird year because there wasn't a Masters last year, so the invites are based off of tournament winners or top placements in tournaments over the past 2 years. Because it's a multi-year thing, they weren't able to do the rankings qualifying. So
there you go.
Yeah. So there's a play-in. They call it the Desperado on Friday, 3-game tournament, and then the top. Not sure exactly how many, but the top number of people are gonna then be able to play in the Masters on the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and anybody who is not, doesn't make it into that top finish. And there's a parallel GT called the Gemini GT, which is a Masters qualifier for this coming year.
For 2023, okay.
Yeah, down in Pasadena. Well, yeah, it'll be played in 2023, but for the 2022 year, yeah. It's being played in Pasadena. This is the same venue as the Joust was this summer, and I can attest to that being an awesome venue, great gaming store, lots of space, great terrain, etc.
Yeah, I can attest to that too. It's a good gaming space. The area is chocked full of restaurants and bars, if that's what you're looking for lunch and also after the tournament in the evenings. Also, there's a handful of hotels that are just down the road, which is really nice. Yeah,
absolutely. So I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. I didn't get an invite, so I would have to do the play-in, and I think that the 3-day weekend is going to be a little tough for me. But yeah, it's a great for the community, and there's players coming from Mexico, I know, at least 2. So it truly is a North American Masters, not just a U.S. Masters. So it brings, I think there's invites to Canadian and Mexican invitees as well. So should be a good diverse crowd and a fun tournament. So hopefully people can make it.
Yeah, unfortunately I can't make it either. That is my wife's birthday weekend, so I can't make it. But I have already inscripted some spies on behalf of Golden State Gaming, and we will get some battle reports. We will get some photos. So don't you worry about that. We'll be covering this, and I already put in my bid to do the list review. So Alex, awesome. if you're watching this, get on top of that for me, please. But anyway, let's get to the battle report. Let's see here. Last we left off, your team, that's a lot of beef, at the North American Team Championships 2021 has had 3 rounds of solid wins. I think you capped once the 3rd round.
Yeah, capped once and a couple of sort of close to cap wins. Yeah.
But then you get paired into CGL, which is the team coming from the Midwest / Northeast I'm not exactly sure where they're all from.
I think it mainly Northeast. I think they're mainly in like Virginia and Maryland. But yeah,
So not Midwest.
CGL, yeah. You know, some this I think in the early list submission stage, we were, you know, sort of saw this as the team to beat. You know, they've got a couple of former ETC players on there, and we were excited to get to play them. And yeah, so went into it, and you know, we felt pretty good with how the pairings ended up. And you know, we'll see how the round ends up. We can talk about that at the end. And I ended up playing none other than Gene Phelps of Wargaming from the Balcony fame.
Yes.
So a YouTuber versus YouTuber match, which is fun. I've never gotten to play him, so I was excited to get the game in. Yeah.
That's exciting. Yeah, definitely. I was watching the scores as we were going through the tournament, and just to give a little lead into this, they were in first place. You guys were in second place. They basically capped all but the first round. In the first round, they got 62 points, and you guys were like just behind them. So I was really excited for this matchup. Really excited. Yeah, but you get paired into Gene. Hey, if you are interested in Vespacian's list or the list of any of his teammates, please click the link right above my head to the list review video. And also, right above my head is a link to the round 1 video where we went over Aaron's list in a little more detail. But let's go ahead and talk about Gene's list. Warriors of the Dark Gods. Take it away.
Yeah, so he's got a Herald. Why wouldn't you take it? A Feldrek Ancestor with great weapon, unbelievably cheap, and I think you've got even cheaper. And then you've got a Sorcerer and Dark Chariot, Wizard Adept Evocation. You know, that Adept and Herald magic phase is pretty, you know, pretty sufficient and pretty, you know, pretty reasonably priced. 3 Warriors of Lust units, min with Musicians and Champion, exactly fills your core. At least it used to. So that's a pretty nice flexible scoring. 2 units of 5 flares, an Elder with paired weapons, and 3 Marauding Giants with giant clubs.
Ooh, this list. Wow.
Talk about a lot of beef. Yeah. Yeah. This list is now illegal actually with the update. So it exceeds the, you know, whatever the legendary beast category counters. You know, it's a, I think, good flexible list. I think obviously, you know, coming up against, you know, this in flags, I was pretty happy with the little 10-man warrior units because they should be something I can take.
Yeah, with shooting, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, whereas my scoring is a little bit more robust. So I had this as a green, meaning I thought I could get at least a small to medium win off of it. So yeah, I was looking forward to
some a little bravado, a little cockiness from you. I like it. I think he's got so many single beefy monster unit models running around the table.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's a green for you. I think it's more of a yellow, but we will see.
Okay.
Let's see here. This is marked deployment in Vanguard.
Yeah, so let me change my view so I can see it a little better. Yeah, there we go. So this was marching columns. I ended up getting the ability to drop first for first turn, which I was happy to take. Honestly, you know, against this kind of a list that you know its win condition is to rush you, right? I was happy to be able to start peeling some wounds off early. And so with marching columns, I believe I went left to right. So I dropped the Great Eagle, the Reavers, and then I guess the Lion Guard. It looks like, and then I dropped all. You know, I think you can kind of tell Gene dropped the Warriors over on the upper right unit of Flayers, which vanguarded back, I think, and then the Giant there before I had dropped. So you can see from where I dropped all, he basically, you know, he kind of dropped to play a non-game, if you will, right?
He's
so
hiding behind the hill. Yeah, makes sense.
I mean, yeah, you would. So So yeah, so this was deployment. I was, you know, my thought with the positioning was that the lions and the ancient dragon are great against his monsters. So I figured the two pieces there could essentially zone him around the hill and give me time to pick up that warrior unit on the right
Mhm.
for the objective. And I figured I could, you know, take off a few of the other single models and try to play for that, you know, medium win, which was what I was
He's got a lot of unique
projecting to
models
get.
up
So
there.
yeah.
Do you mind going through what's what?
Yeah. Well, let me. So
No.
I'll finish up my deployment. So lions, dragon, the two bolt throwers down there, the sea guard with the characters, the queen's guard, and then out of frame on the right is the spears. I think you can kind of see the upper edge of their base, and then there's a bolt thrower on a hill in the corner over there. And then we talked about his. So from my right to left, he's got another warrior unit, and then behind it is the herald. A little bit hard to see, but it's kind of like a. I think like a juggernaut, you know, with a warrior on top of it, basically. And then next to that is the chariot
right here, yeah.
adept, right there with the kind of, with the longer base. And then in front of that is a giant, and then another warrior unit, and then that one is another giant, and then you can't quite see the top of the model, but it's a really cool model for the Feldark Ancestor there. It's basically like a big, kind of standing wingless dragon, and then another unit of flayers, and then the paired weapon elder there. And I think that you'll get some better shots of those monsters.
We might as well point out, click the link above my head right now to go to our hobby review of the tournament, where we go over a bunch of the armies that are painted really nice. Let's see here. Bam. This is marked as top 1.
Yeah, so basically I moved up. I wanted on the right-hand side, I wanted the spears to start being able to, you know, pen in his warriors. I think after some casualties from shooting, the spears could, you know, probably handle that unit. So I move up with both of the shooting units just to get, you know, better ranges, but still be able to shoot. Dragon, as described, is kind of zoning around both sides of the hill. Just basically wanted to make it hard for him to push up there with the lions as well. And then the two chaff is just positioning, you know, out of charge ranges and able to jump in if needed, essentially. And then what happens in this turn is I put quite a lot of, I think I put the Sea Guard and the Queen's Guard shooting into his giant over there on the right. Looking back, I think it might have been a mistake, but my thinking was that with that giant gone, you know, there's essentially no threat on that side of the board. I did what could, meaning two bolt throwers, shot at his warrior unit, I think peeled off
this unit over here on the right.
On the right.
Okay. Yeah,
correct. And I think I'm trying to remember, do you mind moving to the next picture?
This bottom one.
Yeah, I think it's here. Okay. Yeah, so this is his movement, and you can see he did a couple of things. So he brings the flares down out of arc of my Sea Guard and sort of in the lee of the building.
Here.
You know what? Actually, Kenny, I think I might have mislabeled this, right? Because it looks like the Sea Guard have moved up again.
So this is.
Oh yeah, sorry. This must be bottom of 2. My apologies. I you know what? When I was going through the photos, I think I noticed that there was a little bit of an inconsistency here. I just couldn't quite figure it out. But now that I look at it, it makes sense. So my apologies. So we can do his move. So he moves up. You know, he's kind of skirting around the hill, and so, you know, he's not really giving my ancient dragon great charges. Obviously, he's got those warriors up on the hill, but they can flee, right? Which would put my ancient out of position potentially and able to be multi-charged by like 17 monsters. So that was a trap. Obviously, didn't go for that. Move the Sea Guard up again. You can see that I did do quite a bit of damage to that giant, but didn't kill it, and he's pulled it back now. It's kind of up in the center there. The Sea Guard moved up. They can still see and shoot at Uh,
The warriors here?
I think they were targeting the warriors there. Yeah. Same thing with the Queen's Guard. I think one or two of the Queen's Guard couldn't see the warriors, but the rest could. And I just preferred not to move them basically, so I'd get the extra to hit. So, and the chaff basically stays where it was, and the lions, continue zoning there. So, in this turn, this one there was a big high and then a big low. I managed to I took Fate's Judgment and an Unerring Strike. Obviously, with all the monsters and the Herald around, I felt like that was a good combo. And I ended up getting a really good roll for a boosted Unerring on the Herald. It was just in range, and he doesn't stop it or fails to stop it. And I ended up on the maximized roll. I ended up getting 11 hits. And I was like, man, I'm gonna one-shot this Herald in turn 2. That's gonna be that's gonna be big. 11 hits. I do 6 wounds, 5 or 6 wounds. I think 6, and so he's got a 5-up, 4-up that he has to roll successfuls, right? And he fails all his armor saves, and I'm like, this is it. There goes the Herald. And then he passes all 5 or 6 of his Aegis saves, and I'm like, okay, he's got to roll them again, and then he passes all but 2. And I was like, it was so close. So anyways, that one felt big, but ended up didn't have a huge impact early, which would have been nice. But otherwise, just continue shooting at the warriors. This was another one where, lots of shooting went into that warrior unit, multiple rounds of bolt throwers, Sea Guard, Queen's Guard, and I realize they're warriors and they're tough, but I think I've only managed to kill like 3 or 4 so far. It's just a bit of a bummer. So, and I think I even end up getting Altered Sight up on the Queen's Guard too, so especially a bummer. Yeah, so I was feeling okay. Some opportunities didn't pan out, but now we can move on to the next one.
This is top of 3.
Okay. Yeah. So you can see what Gene did. So he continued moving his Elder out along the flank, which makes sense. He's just trying to make it hard for me to maintain that defensive position around the hill. I kind of twist the Queen's Guard and the Sea Guard around to keep shooting
at the warriors.
And then the spears are continue doing their thing, just kind of getting ready to receive that warrior charge or chase him down eventually. The Ancient, again, you'll see in the next picture that I made a kind of a positioning mistake with the Ancient. Basically, I wanted to prevent him from bringing a lot of monsters down to where that Elder was, essentially. So I kind of twisted the dragon around there, but that, as you'll see in the next, it kind of defeated the purpose of what I was trying to do of zoning him off the hill. I should have kept the dragon back and still facing the hill, in hindsight. But anyways, so that was definitely a miss there. And then we'll see in the next picture, but I made a big mistake here, and this comes back once again to sort of rustiness on the tabletop. You can kind of see where that dragon is. I did check. You'll see that warrior unit has a flank charge on my Sea Guard, right? And I did lean across and check that range, and I remember seeing it and thinking that it was either a double 6 or out of range. And that's just leaning across with the huge wings in the way and something tilted up. When we actually got into Gene's turn, which you can go into the next picture here. When we actually got into Gene's turn, it turned out that was a 10 on the dice. And that is, I'd risk the 12 because it pulls his warriors out of position, unlikely to make it, etc. And it also would give him the dragon the opportunity to go after him. Lots of different things that can happen there. But the 10, that I ummed and awed about this. We ended up having him roll the dice, and he didn't roll the 10. But I took the safer way out and fled, which was a real shame because it kind of gave up the defensive position that I had. It allowed him to come onto the hill. You can see this is where the combination of those two things allows him to capitalize on the positioning mistake of the ancient dragon, and he is able to bring the ancestor and a giant up onto the hill, it looks like. He continues moving down with the elder, they just staying out of charge range of the lions, which makes sense. And now that my Sea Guard are out of position, he actually brings his warrior unit around, and this was once again another positioning mistake. I basically hadn't moved those spears the last turn. I could have easily turned them to make it impossible for him to do what he did, but right now the warriors are just out of the arc of the spears, which is great positioning. So I was in a little bit of a, I'd now opened the game up for Gene, which was, what was looking like a pretty comfortable medium-ish win is now broken wide open. So kind of more here. So you can also see he's done some chip damage, I think, with pentagram or something into that Queen's Guard unit.
Also, the dragon looks like it took a couple wounds. Where was that from?
Is it? I use those purple counters.
Yeah.
Is there one up there? Maybe he. Oh, you know what? There was a bubble pentagram that he did at one point that might have snuck a wound through. But yeah, anyway, something like that. But you know what? I didn't feel like this was disastrous. I still have both of my chaff pieces. I've still got the lions and the dragon able to kind of turn and reabsorb that defensive position. I didn't think I was out of luck here entirely. So we'll see what happens next.
Yeah, this is bottom of 4.
Okay. Yeah, so I've moved and now he's moved in the
wow,
intro.
this got complicated. Yeah.
It did, yes. So my Sea Guard rally, but because of the positioning, I had to give a flank to his warrior unit on the right there, right? Because he had his ancestor up on the hill and everything like that. So I had to kind of turn that way, which meant I knew that I was going to flee from them. I needed to roll a 3.
Oh, to go through the Queen's Guard, yeah.
Bounce. Right, I roll double 1, and don't go through the Queen's Guard. So he has a 9 on the dice to catch that Sea Guard unit with his warrior unit. I was, I'm sweating bullets at this point. Fortunately, he doesn't make it. Otherwise, that would have really changed the game in a big way. Now, I think I did do some smart things here. I repositioned the dragon to basically prevent him from doing a big sweep around the hill on the right-hand side, and of reposition the hill again, making him give up a chaff piece, which was okay. I chaffed the Feldrak Elder with the eagle in the bottom left there.
Yep.
And then I've still got my reavers there as backup. So things have definitely gotten bad, but it hasn't quite tilted, entirely. So trying to recover here. He's brought his herald. You can see up between the Queen's Guard. And then he's also got his giant up there as backup. So we'll see how this all pencils out. So what ends up happening is I get some some good fortune when I needed it here, and with the Queen's Guard and all 3 bow throwers, as well as the magic phase, I managed to take down the herald. I had done a couple wounds to a couple times before. He had healed with pentagram, so he had 4 wounds left, and I managed to just do it by the wound. And so that gives me a lot of breathing space, because I would have been in really, really tough shape there. So that's actually in the next picture. Sorry, I've skipped ahead. This is his movement. So you can go to the next picture and see what happens there. Yeah. So in this turn is when I kill the herald there. I've chaffed the giant there with the reavers, and obviously I've now spoiled that getting rid of the herald. That helps me a lot there. I brought the dragon back essentially to zone. The thing I'm worried about is that rather than going after the lions that are up there, that he just brings all of the monsters down, right, for the following turn charges. So I get a little luck in this turn, take down the herald, which is nice. And then I get Stars Align up on the Lions.
Oh, nice,
and
nice.
My thinking there is, yeah, he's got the Ancestor and the Herald, or sorry, the Ancestor and the Elder, and with Stars Align up, I actually think that's pretty dicey. He could lose one or both of those, and then I think the Lions just stick, right? Because I'm striking before him, and obviously big point swing, etc. Looking back on that, well, actually, I'll save that.
This giant up here are the Lions out of his arc? Okay.
He is. Yeah, they are.
All right, so
yeah, so I was able to find a nice spot there. So yeah, that was I was, once the Herald went down, I started to feel like things were a little bit better. And yeah, so now I think we can go on.
No, that's it.
One more. Ah, sorry. Okay, bummer. You can see a lot of things swung in the middle of this game, so I got a little bit shaky on the pictures. But essentially, what happens is the Ancestor and the Elder go into the Lions, and I miss killing them both.
Oh no!
By one wound, which was, with reroll the hit, wounding on 4s, and he gets a 6-up. He did make each of them made 6-up. So it was that close, right? It would be a pretty big swing if I had just knocked those models off right there. But as it is, they both serve to swing, and they do break and run down the Lions. So now I'm under on the objective, right? And this is, few bad turns of shooting at those warriors on the right-hand side, and that mistake with the Sea Guard has basically lost me the objective at this point, which is a real shame. But what ends up happening is something a bit interesting. He doesn't kill the Reavers. He chooses not to, and kind of repositions his giant. And then when his Ancestor overruns, it puts him in a position where I can hit his giant with the Ancient Dragon and then overrun into the Ancestor.
And the Ancestor's in combat, and the Ancestor's in combat with the Reavers, right?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. So I can get the double combat in that turn. And the Ancestor's got 2 wounds left. 2 wounds left, right? So and that is obviously a big swing. So the Ancient Dragon goes in, takes off the giant, overruns into the Ancestor, and with Stars Align up, fails to kill the Ancestor with 2 wounds remaining, which is just shocking. I mean, I don't know how else to put it. It was he made 1 6-up save against the Prince's attacks. He gets no save against the Dragon's attacks, but I only do 1 wound, so I leave him on 1 wound remaining, which was a real bummer at the end of the game, basically. But I do get a little piece of good luck. Gene ends up putting that big giant that's up on the, and then the Elder down there, who the Elder and the giant, both the Elder's on 1 wound remaining and the giant's on 2 wound remaining, I guess. He puts them both into the Sea Guard, thinking, obviously there's a lot of points there. He thinks he could pick up a big win, and it's just strength 3. I managed to, with no buffs up, I managed to kill both of them in the bottom of 6, which is obviously a big point swing. So at the end of the day, I'd gotten 2 giants, the Elder, half points on the Ancestor, both Flayer units. So I'd done a lot of, and the Herald. So I'd actually done a lot of work on his list, and I was up a 15-5, but then he wins the objective because of getting the Lions, and we end up with a
12-8. Yeah. Man, that was a great game tactically. It felt like.
I wish I'd had a couple more pictures in the middle there, because you could kind of gotten a better feel for it. But yeah, I made a couple mistakes there that gave Gene some big openings, but then managed to kind of reel it back in, which was good. So yeah.
Yeah, I think you got unlucky with the
there was one
dice
thing I
some
saw.
spots, but I think really was this choice here with the dragon.
Yeah, yeah, that was this turn of movement. Was I felt like I had the game pretty well in hand at this point, and this turn of movement, if I'd had the dragon just rotated back, a little bit, facing the full portion of the hill, and if the sea guard, the sea guard could easily have been 1 to 2 inches down. They didn't need to be exactly there. So it was just a waste of a good position, unfortunately. So, and the one other thing, if you can go back to the last picture.
The
one
last
thing that
picture.
I was looking as I was pulling this. Yeah. Yeah, here. So one thing I was noticing that I think could have been sort of interesting is I could, if I'd just done the Reaver chaffing a little bit differently, kind of conged them out a bit, I think I could have just fled with the lions, bounced all the way through.
Oh, I see.
Essentially, and left him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now looking back, I was so keen to have that to take those 2 monsters off. I felt like, with a buff, I was in a good position to do it. And it didn't even occur to me to use the flea to kind of save the scoring unit, which I think I might not have gotten the points for those 2 models as a result of that, but I lost the objective. So I think that's probably a 1, maybe 2 point battle swing in my favor if I'd made that decision. But I honestly didn't see it or think of it at the time. I just was seeing as I was reviewing it, which is why making battle reports of your games is a good way to get better at the game. So,
I still think you made the right choice to stick because you had stars to line up. I feel like odds are you should have killed at least one of those monsters. And it depends how he positioned them. If he put one in the center and then hung another one off the end.
Yeah, the way it worked was there was like 4 or 5 files that could go into the ancestor, and then 2 or 3 that could go into the elder. So, the thing is with the multi-wound 2, 6 attacks, re-rolling to hit and wounding on 4s, you actually, I think on average you do kill each of those models, right? So it's on the bubble, and unfortunately the bubble tilted away from me both times. Now you can see, obviously it would have been a huge swing if I'd killed both those monsters. Then I have the lions with an easy charge into either of his warrior bricks, essentially. And then that's the objective going my way and a ton of points, right? So I think a risky move, but it paid off for me.
So how did the team end up?
Yeah, and so unfortunately we ended up getting capped this round, and I think, to your point, at this point that kind of meant that CGL was going to win the tournament, right? So we still had positioning to play for in round 5, so we'll see how that all went, but yeah, this was definitely a shame. The kind of good matchups that we were happy about, they were able to kind of contain the wins, and then we had a couple of yellows it end up being big losses that we were disappointed in. So I think that I talked to their captain Joe after the game, and I think his argument was that we'd kind of miscalled a couple of the matches. So it's a great. I don't. Most of the time, teams don't leave feeling like they got out paired, and so we didn't feel that way, but ended up getting a big loss. So, yeah, it was a disappointing round. We'd hoped for better. Obviously, we would have needed a pretty sizable win to end up taking the whole tournament. So, didn't end up happening. But great, good games, good opponents, and we were happy to have gotten the opportunity to take a shot
definitely.
at it.
Hey, if anyone's still watching, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next Bat Rep.